Good afternoon, race fans. Welcome to race 19 of the Foster Series powered by the WRA. Of course, the rest of the regular season, we're going to just have these races out to all. Pole day qualifying will return when we start the playoffs here on this channel, which is after today, 7 more races left to go until we get to that point. We're here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway under cloudy conditions for the running of the Pennzoil 400 presented by Jiffy Lube. 94 laps of racing here today. On the pole position is Arena McShane. This is her third pole on the year. Here's the interesting part. She and Priya are tied for 29th in the points. Here's the other thing you need to know for Priya. 0 points ahead of 30th in the standings. Priya cannot ill afford another poor result or another mid finish, because if she does, it will drop her out of the top 30 in the points, and her win from Dega won't mean squat when we get to the regular season finale. So Arena needs a good run. Priya needs a good run to stay away from 30th in the standings. Then you have two drivers on two different aspects to that story. Quinton Moore, who's on the outside of the front row, 17th in the points, needs to bounce back after a tough race last week at Kansas. Or no, Chicagoland. I'm sorry. 2 weeks ago was Kansas. And then Riley Andersen, who comes into this race 8th in the points. She has a big enough gap. Even if she gets another good result, I think we can safely say Riley Andersen could be eliminated from falling out of the top 30 in the points. So we have 4 different agendas that are going on as you look at the rest of the starting lineup. Hannah Higdon making her debut. Veronica Platz making her return to the series. As far as that is concerned, Yakumiyo making her debut. I'm trying to think who else is making their debut, but you already basically saw the rest of the grid. As oh, by the way, 42 cars showed up for the 42 starting spots. Nobody had to go home as far as that's concerned. Something's up with the 45, because apparently she did not get going. And I think she's got a problem. Hold on. All right. Looks like they are got the issue fixed on her machine. Watching something on Pluto TV as I'm doing this video. Plus, we're also going to have the time change, which will go from like 1:59 to 3 a.m. real quickly because of daylight savings time. Here's your points. Paul Minnick is the points leader by 14 points over Emily Andersen. Jacob Foster, 25 points back in third. Alina Ricci dropped a spot down to fourth in the standings, 26 back, 28 back. Salman Ozkan in fifth. Sixth is Mohammed Zain, 39 points back. Zachary Fitzwater, 46 points back in seventh. Riley Andersen jumped up 3 spots to eighth. Lucy Grainger, ninth. And Eric Stanbury complete the top 10. Zachary Fitzwater got his second win on the season last week at Chicagoland. We'll see what happens here this week, because this will wrap up the mile and a half that we have as of right now. Here we go for the Pennzoil 400 presented by Jiffy Lube. It is green. Let's go racing, boys and girls. As Arena McShane will lead the first lap of this race. Priya doing the smart thing to go to the bottom of the racetrack. If anything, Priya needs a good run to get herself away from 30th in the standings. So for the rest of the regular season, we'll just pick out drivers for the Go homers and all that. And then we'll be back to qualifying for the entire playoffs, which will begin starting at That will be New Hampshire, which will be the first race of the round of 16. All the playoff races will be going by rounds. It's not going to go by challenger round, contender round, eliminator round, yada, yada, yada. It's going to be round of 16, round of 12, round of 8, championship 4. That's basically how we've done it for playoff races. There will be a schedule change. I'm going to make this announcement real quickly for you guys. Next week, we are going to Auto Club. I know on the schedule I had it as Phoenix, but we're going to go to Auto Club next week. Then we'll go to Phoenix and Arizona, or probably switch Arizona and Phoenix around, but you get what I mean. But it won't affect the West Coast races, if you ask me. So we'll go to, we have Phoenix, or bleh, start that over. We have Vegas today. Next week we go to Auto Club. Then Arizona and Phoenix. That will be basically the schedule before we head up to our final road course race of the regular season. That will be Watkins Glen. That could play a major part in this. Rena McShane, Riley Anderson. There's Alex Hawkins in third. Alex Hawkins comes into this race situated in the 18th position in points. He's another driver. A win for him would get him into the playoffs since he's inside the top 30 in the points. Quentin Moore, Priya McShane, good run for her in the early going. Mohammed Zain, Zachary Fitzwater, two-time winner this week, is 7th. Tatum Wright in the 8th position. Alina Ricky 9th. And Senor Sean is now in the top 10. We have Tatum Wright, Yakumiu, Veronica Platts. Those are your go or go home drivers we have. Also, we got, I think that is, let me see who else. I think as I pull up the deal, Summon Ozkan is 2 laps down. I'm going to have to follow up what's going on. Fail. Bryce Egan, Reggie Fogelman, and Hannah Higdon. So Higdon, Wright, Miu, Platts, Fogelman, and Egan are making their debut. But what has happened to the 22 of Summit Ozkan? Why was he on pit road? Because that is way, way too early to come to pit road. Looks like a mechanical problem because there'd be no other reason why he came to pit road because they did not change tires on the Shell Pennzoil Dodge. And as a result, he is now 2 laps down. That is not good for a driver who on the playoff grid is 68 points above the playoff cut line. Speaking of the playoff cut line, let's talk about who is currently in the playoffs entering this race. So Emily Anderson, Alina Ricky, now Zachary Fitzwater. All 3 of them inside the top 10 in the points with 2 wins, meaning more than likely another win for them. They are going to be eliminated from falling out of the top 30 in points since they have a big enough cushion between themselves and 30th in the standings. It would be impossible for them to fall out of the top 30 in points. I think their goal is just to try to get some more wins to help them win the playoffs. As by the way, Riley took the lead from Arena McShane. Then we have the one-time winners of Minnick, Foster, Zane Andersen, who, by the way, is the leader. If a second win for Anderson would get her in the playoffs, more than likely. Jessica Parker, Kyle Langeland, Quentin Moore, and Priya McShane. Just mentioned Priya McShane, who is 29th in points. The problem is she's tied for 30th in the standings, 0 points above the cut line. That's its upright for Summit Ozkan, who, by the way, was 68 points above the playoff cut line. Lucy Granger, 27. Eric Stanbury, 26. Sean Ard, 22. and 6 points above the playoff cut line, Troy Kang. 6 below Bradley, 8 below Gitirokh, 9 below Hawkins, 13 below is Ebrahimian. Now, that is if Adina Almas does not get back in the top 30 in the points. She comes into this race 33rd in the points. She is a total of 29 points behind the 30th in the standings cut line. She does have a window, but I would think Almas is going to be finding herself, I would say, more than likely in a must-win situation because, yes, she's been the victory lane. The problem is that win's not going to count for a playoff berth because if you're not in the top 30 in points, doesn't matter if you have 1 win, 5 wins, 10 wins, doesn't matter. If you're not in the top 30 in points after April, you're not battling for the championship. So if I'm Almas, I better start winning a race in the next couple of weeks. Because you're now starting to find yourself in deep must-win territory to get yourself back in the top 30 in points. There's Riley Andersen. Riley Andersen made the announcement. If you didn't tune in last week, it was announced Riley Andersen will be leaving World NOS Racing after 11 seasons together at the end of the season. To where she will go is a mystery. So Riley would like to finish off her tenure. There's Ozkan. There's Emily Andersen, second in points. Not the run she was having. And of course, we're still in the early stages of this race. And there's the guy that Emily Andersen's trying to run down for the points lead. Paul Minnick back here at the rear of the field. Jesse Ard back here at the rear of the field. There's Reggie Fogelman back this week. There's Higdon making her first start on the season. I think she is still a rookie. Yeah, she's still a rookie. Yaku Miyu, a Japanese driver. And this is a gal who's making her Foster Series return, Veronica Platts. Interesting to note for that 21 that Priya McShane drove. This lady right here got it into the playoffs when it was under Noah Platts at the time. Veronica Platts made the playoffs, sadly got eliminated after the round of 12. Eric Stanbury. There's Maddie Crenshaw. Grace Takayama. There's Lucy Granger. Fonzo Albanese. Gitirokh, his teammate Carolina Bradley. Jessica Parker, our Daytona 500 winner. Scarlett Wallace. Kyle Langeland. Haven't talked much about Kyle recently, as the time change has now gone from 1:59 to 3 in the morning, so we've already lost an hour of sleep. It's already going to screw up a lot of people's sleep, I can tell you that for certainty. And looking at the rest of the points deal, I think we can safely say for Danielle Witter, even if she goes to victory lane in the next 7 weeks, I really don't think it's going to be enough for her to get in the top 30 in points. I think for her to get a win would be good. Scarlett Wallace, Jackie Tang. I think Jackie Tang, we can safely say, if he does not get a win, I think we can say Jackie Tang's going to be out of contention. Sam Davis in the 5. He's another driver. A win for him would get him in the playoffs. Cody Majorek. There's Chase Brooks. He'll be back into his regular scheme next week. The Cheddar's car. There's Almas. Running in 13th. I think Alina Ricky would be the points leader, but it's all going to depend where we have these pit stops we got to worry about. We also got to worry about. Um, we also got to worry about another driver, and that is S Ozkan, who's got mechanical problems. These drivers are going to have to make at least a pit stop. 66 is the magic number. As Priya has already climbed up to fourth. Fitzy is now fifth. Puts Q-Man back to sixth. Mohammed Zain, Tatum Wright, Alina Ricci, Sean Ard in the top 10. From the 41 back to the 38, 26 points. We'll have to see if that'll be enough for Alina Ricci to take the points lead heading into next week's race. That'll be at Auto Club. William Davis, Ebrahimian, almost. We'll have to see where 13th as of now. If she were to finish in the top 15, almost as we'll have to see where that's going to situate her. But again, we have the cycle of pit stops going on. We still have all 42 drivers in this race, 41 of them on the lead lap. 182 down the back straightaway. Let's see how fast Riley is going to see if. Okay, it looks like. Yeah, I'm not really sure why the 22 came to pit road because I didn't see tires changed on that machine. I think they were having like an engine problem or something like that. Because when you don't change tires, one of two things may happen. You either got as I just got pinged in a practice room. One of two things can happen. You would either get like a mechanical problem or something else. That's something I think you would have to consider, and that's really going to kill Samet Ozkan in the points. And as I said, 68 points above the cut line as far as the playoff, providing the 10 does not get back in the top 30 in the points. Because if Almas gets a good run or a second win, that's bad news for drivers that are trying to point their way into the playoffs via points. We'll have to wait and see if that will be the case. Priya's having a good run in fourth. As I was trying to get to fifth, instead we ended up going to the pace car. Zachary Fitzwater, 1 week removed from his second win of the year. There's Mohammed Zain in the 19. Mohammed Zain will be running for Cup points next season. Quentin Moore also going to be running for Cup points next season. Quentin, however, will have to qualify on time in the Winston Cup Series due to the fact he is outside the top 35 in points, pending where the provisionals are. If you are not aware of the news in the Winston Cup Series, the number 16 that is out of Roush Fenway Racing with Kevin Joseph, who's really having a struggling season over in the Winston Cup Series, that number is retiring at the end of season 2. In other news, it will be selling their other place at the end of the season. So, in other words, Roush is going to be renumbering the number 16 ride, or that will be shutting down the 16. Now, one of two things is probably going to happen for Roush, and we don't know what their plan is until we get to the end of season 2. But As Riley currently is still the race leader. Riley will still remain with Mercedes for the Monster Energy Series because that is where she's currently teammates with Marty Stevens. Plus, we don't know the future for Riley Andersen with Roush Fenway Racing as far as season 3 is concerned. There's been rumors that Riley could possibly leave Roush Racing. We don't know. I don't know how long Riley Andersen's contract with Roush is, but we'll have to see what happens. Summit, or not Summit, excuse me, Reggie Fogelman's dropped down to 41st. So the 16 in the Winston Cup Series, this will be the final season. This is to honor Greg Biffle. That number is retiring. So they will either renumber the car, because Roush is probably going to remain a 4-car team for next season. Riley, I think, is still going to be a part of Roush. We don't know what the plan will be because I already got the updated roster for Winston Cup for season 3. Also, Winston Cup as Riley Andersen still your race leader over Alex Hawkins. Arena McShane is now 3rd. Priya is 4th. Priya really doing a good job trying to keep her playoff hopes alive. Fitzy in 5th. Zane, Wright, Moore, Ard, and Ricky complete the top 10. I'll put it back on Emerald Tailgate. So, yeah. Tatum Wright, who has not been to victory lane in the Winston Cup Series since season 3. So, yeah. Of course, Courtney Lynn leaving Hendrick Motorsports at the end of the season. Will be moving to Roush next season. So the interesting factor is that with the 16 number in the Winston Cup Series retiring, who would get in the top 35 in points? That will be the question. Because right now, the 97 out of Roush is outside the top 35. Of course, that's an all-star team. Do they even use that number? Do they take the 16's points? Because remember, the 26 would still end up using the Buick Regal points that they have in Winston Cup, which means they will end up having to qualify on time. So that's going to be very interesting to see what will happen. There's going to be a lot of drivers we're going to be keeping our eyes on, and we'll have to see what happens as far as the entry list is concerned. But we're getting closer to the midway point of today's race. As Zachary Fitzwater, he looks like he has a long run car. These two ladies, Arena and Priya, both of these girls will be in the Craftsman Truck Series next season. They will compete for the Rookie of the Year honor. Look at the fast lap right here, almost 2 seconds slower. Because we're already now almost to the midway point of the race. You know, the tires have already started to go away. The cars are now starting to handle differently. But remember, the track, it is cloudy outside. It is not sunny. Because sunny, it would be hot and slick. It is cool. It is cloudy. And the cars have a lot more speed. And produces a lot of grip. See how everybody else is doing. There's Alma still 13th. Bryce Egan underneath Chase Brooks. That's a battle for 14th. Jackie Tang, Cody Majoric, Carolina Bradley, Kyle Langeland, Scarlett Wallace, Lucy Granger, Jacob Foster, third in points. Jacob Foster is going to be happy to have a lot of his new drivers like Ryuji Sakamako and Ann Takamakai. They will be in the Truck Series next season. And his brother Zach is going to be in the Busch Series full time next season. So Jacob is happy that Zach's going to run part time in the Truck Series next season. Because remember, under the new rules for season 3, a driver can still race in trucks and Busch, which is fine. But they would not earn points. Like, for instance, Jacob Foster can still run Busch Series races and truck races. He would not get points for those, however. He can still make starts, but he will not get points because he already told me he is going for cup points. That is something the rule. Same with Daniel Gitirokh. If he runs Busch or truck races next season, he would not get points for those series. Same for Kyle Langeland. He would run for cup points since he's declaring for cup points. He can run Busch races if he wants to. He would not get points, however. He can get wins, though, which won't be a problem. But he won't be getting any Busch points since he is going to the Cup Series. If that makes a lot of sense, not to get anybody confused on that, as we're now halfway through this race. That is one of the new rule changes we have this season. The other rule change we're going to have is the drivers as far as eligibility for the Rookie of the Year honor. If you notice, Jacob Foster has not made more than 7 Winston Cup starts. He would still be eligible for the Rookie of the Year honors due to the fact he has not made more than 7 Winston Cup starts. He's only made, I think, 2 or 3, so he would still be eligible for the Rookie of the Year honor. Because, in case you're not aware, the 91 is getting the 9's owner points, which means Jacob Foster, he is locked into the locked into Coca-Cola because of the 9's owner points. Because remember, the 9, now that Jessica Miller announced she will not be returning to Everham Motorsports, those points will now move over to Jacob Foster. So it'll be Jacob Foster, Monica Towns, and then a rotating drivers in the 9 car. So it could be like Connor Breton, Peter Salviano, etc., etc. It could be Connor Breton taking the ride, but we'll have to wait and see on that little ordeal. Oh, and also, Yusei Kagigawa, by the way, will be in the 06 as he will be attempting to qualify for the road courses. I don't know if Jacob wants Yusuke. He probably wants Yusuke in the Bush series or in trucks, which I don't think that's going to be an issue. He just won't get cup points, but he will attempt to qualify for the races. Because remember, the only driver that is getting points is Dylan Cunningham because of the fact Dylan Cunningham has Riley apparently had to get out of the throttle for some reason. Not sure why. Unless her car was starting to get tight there through the center of the corner. But Yusuke will definitely get can run trucks and Bush points. He just won't run for cup points. Because Yusuke will more than likely be in either trucks or Bush for probably will be in Bush series actually for next season. Oh wait, Dylan Cunningham is actually not going to be eligible for points in Cup because of the fact he is going to the Bush series in season number 3. I forgot about that. But he can still show up for Cup races attempting to qualify for those, but he would not run for Cup points. I think that makes a lot of fairness. But those are a couple of new rule changes we're going to talk about. Season 3, we're going to have a playoff system, but here's the catch. We're still going to have the top 35 rule. Because right now, there is a chance we could end up having 37 full time drivers, pending who wins the championship for season number 2. We know that the 11 team is going to be selling their points, which I believe, and of course, he's in the field. Oh, by the way, I want to see. Let me see if he is in the field. I think our season 1 Winston Cup champ. I think it would be this guy, Ponzo Albanese. But I'm going to double check to make sure I am correct because I don't want to screw it up and then lie to you all. So, as I'm going to double check to make sure I am correct in that ordeal. I think it was. Let me look before I screw it up even more. Yes, it is Ponzo Albanese. He is selling his owner points because remember, Ponzo Albanese has the Champions Provisional to fall back on to get into every race, so he will not have to worry about attempting to qualify for every race. As Fitzwater's up to second, Arena McShane just got by. I bet you Riley Anderson's car handling is starting to go away and starting to develop a big push. You can tell she has dropped off the pace, like 2.1 seconds slower than her fastest lap. So it says to me we are going to be facing a one-stop strategy. But this is a difficult pit road to get onto. That is the big problem. And it looks like we got pit stops, but Riley staying out. That's something I'm a bit concerned about. Alex Hawkins has stayed out. I am questioning why Riley is staying out. Because this is not doing her any favors. You know, those drivers that came to pit road playing the undercut strategy. I like that call. Come in, get your tires now. Everybody else, I just question that move. And I noticed the 38 is 2 laps down, Paul Minnick. Unless he already pitted. I think he already pitted. Apparently he's 2 laps down, so apparently he made an unscheduled pit stop. Because he's already made a pit stop. I bet he had a tire going down or something. Well, good thing is you did it in the middle of green flag pit stops. See where Riley's gonna. Okay, Riley's coming out of the pits. There goes Fitzwater. I think Fitzy would be the leader. Like I said, I think that was a smart move for those drivers. We'll have to see if I'm right or not. I question why Tatum, or not Tatum, excuse me, Riley Andersen, why she stayed out later. And yep, Paul Minnick definitely made an unscheduled pit stop. That's why he is not, well, I was going to say he was a lap down, but he is still on the lead lap, but he could go a lap down. So, yes, Fitzwater is the leader. Looks like Arena McShane fell to 11th. Almost jumped up to 8th. She was like, I think, 12th or 13th before those cycle of pit stops. Got her in the top 10. As here comes Arena McShane trying to get her first win of her career in the Foster Series. We'll have to see where this is going to situate a number of these people. Andersen back to 4th, Hawkins 5th. Carolina Bradley is up to 6th, just got around the 19. Remember, Bradley was like 20th, nearing the top, like almost top 20 before those cycle of pit stops. Zayn 7th, 8th, Ebrahimian. Almost is 9th, Jackie Tang is 10th. So almost played the undercut. Jumped a lot of people. Priya was actually running in the top 5 before those pit stops. But still a good run for her to try to keep herself away from 30th in the standings. There's Summit Ozkan. We have also have not had a caution yet in this race. And if Fitzwater goes to victory lane, or Riley Andersen, or those 2-time winners that go to victory lane, they're more than likely going to have the number 1 seed. I noticed the 41. Wow, 41 dropped down to 20. Was running in the top 5 before those pit stops. Bryce Egan has made an unscheduled pit stop. Apparently, he's 2 laps down for something. Yep, he had a problem. Not sure what's happened to the United Rentals. Let's see. Is it a tire problem? Yep, tire. Unfortunately, Bryce Egan is now 2 laps down. That's a tough break for Bryce. Wasn't having a good run. Cycle of pit stops. He must have ran over some debris because there would be no other reason why he's in 41st. That's a tough break for Bryce Egan. Not the result Bryce Egan was hoping for. Zachary Fitzwater, still the race leader. Arena McShane, who comes in this race tied for 29th in the points, but she is that cut line driver of 30th. Fitzwater looking for his 3rd win on the season. And for anybody who wants to know a little statistics about Zachary Fitzwater, this may shock you a bit. Zachary Fitzwater, this is an interesting stat. I need to throw this out. Zachary Fitzwater has not had a career year since, listen to this, 2015. As a rookie in this series. Zachary Fitzwater has never had a breakout year since 2015. That year made the playoffs, made it into the Final Four to compete for the championship, but ended up losing the championship to Annie Thomas. And Fitzwater was one of 2 teams to this day that has had their entire team make it into the Final Four to compete for the championship. The other is Nathan Orman, who's no longer in the series. So that is how long it's been since Zachary Fitzwater has had a breakout year. I think Fitzy had a total of, I want to say, like 5 wins. Because the interesting part about that 2015 season, you had Annie Thomas, Betty Johnson, Fitzy, his wife Henrietta Fitzwater, Zachary Fitzwater's wife referring to, Alex Hawkins, Jackie Tang, Crystal Fontaine, and I'm trying to think who the other driver was. You had those good competitive drivers from the seven I just named off, and I can't remember off the top of my head who was the eighth. But you had the president, the Edmonds, Fitzy, Hawkins, Jackie Tang in the Elite Eight, knowing knowing somebody had to be eliminated from that. To say I'm shocked about that was an understatement that year. And Zachary Fitzwater, who we didn't know if he was going to win that season. We'll never know if Fitzwater was going to win that championship in Foster's that season. And the one thing he said to me that still stands to me to this day is that he said, look, it doesn't matter if Annie or Betty or Crystal or Henrietta, it was Crystal, that was the other driver, or him win the championship. You had 5 out of the 8 spots occupied by Fitzwater Australia Racing. Yeah, 5 out of the 8 spots. Because as I said, the other 3 were Jackie Tang, Alex Hawkins, and I forgot the last driver. But 5 out of the 8 Elite 8 spots occupied by FAR, which I don't think anyone expected that. I'm trying to remember who was the 8th driver. I'm still trying to remember who the 8th driver was. If I were to take I think might have been Jacob Tutu, if I'm correct. And if it was Jacob Tutu, he did get eliminated in the round of 8. Because they had to run 600 miles, 1,000 kilometers for a championship. Not just to win the Peter Brock Trophy at Mount Panorama, which, by the way, that was our championship race. And still to this day, the only road course that hosted a championship race. Which I know I get some criticism for that, but to be fair, you got to think outside the box. But that was the last time Fitzy had a breakout year. Fitzy has not had a breakout year since this season. And if Zachary Fitzwater were to win the championship in, ironically, his favorite drink sponsor, which is Foster's Beer, because knowing Fitzy, he's from Sydney, Annie Thomas is from Sydney, Betty Johnson's from Perth, Crystal Fontaine's from Auckland, New Zealand. To say Zachary Fitzwater is going to get drunk on Foster's after winning a championship that is sponsored by the Foster Series, to say that could happen is an understatement. Oh, man. And I know he does not want to be reminded how 2015 went, but I'll say this for Alex Hawkins. I know he was disappointed. He came up 1 round shy of battling for a championship in 2015, but you gotta love the commitment the Richmond, Virginia native has done. And, we'll never know if Alex Hawkins would have won that title in 2015 or Jackie Tang. But of course, both of them are good friends for me. And, and there's, speaking of Jackie Tang, I know Jackie's not had a good season in Foster's, but if he can just get at least a win, same with Alex Hawkins, even if they don't make the playoffs, if they can get at least a win, that would be some momentum for them going into next season. Because as I said, it has not been, well, for Alex Hawkins, it has not been the best of seasons. Or, excuse me, it has not been the best of seasons for Jackie Tang. Alex Hawkins, on the other hand, it's been a good season for him, to be more specific. As Arena McShane currently the race lead, or trying to take the lead from Fitzy. Tatum right now in third. Paul Minnick is not on the lead lap, and apparently Paul Minnick. Actually, Paul Minnick's a lap down. Never mind. I thought something was wrong there, but Minnick's already had a bad day. There's Alex Hawkins in fifth. Senor Sean in sixth. Bryce Egan is not on the lead lap. Zane is seventh. Riley Anderson, William Davis, and Ebrahimian in the top 10. Riley led a good part of that first half of this race, but those cycle of pit stops really hurted her and having a chance of winning this race as Arena McShane looking the inside of Fitzy for the race lead. This copyrighted broadcast is presented by the authority of the World Racing Association, the Blue Hedgehog TV, for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction or rebroadcast or retransmit or any other disseminations or the use of this broadcast without the express written consent of the World Racing Association is prohibited. Blue Hedgehog TV, the World Racing Association, want to thank you fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast. Priya's dropped back to 19th. Almost is at 16th. We'll have to see where 19th would situate Priya. As I'm going to check to see where this is going to situate her. Priya, that is. The good news for Priya is that she is ahead of a number of drivers who, let's face it, not having a good day. So I think Priya, she's ahead of Seaman. She's ahead of Hartnett for right now, as we're down to 4 laps to go, 3 to go next time by. So I think Priya, we'll have to see where 19th could situate her. Jacob Foster, 21st. Jacob was third in the points. The gal, as you're hearing Emerald's tailgate in the background, the gal that Jacob was trying to run down for the rookie points lead, Emily Anderson, 38th. And she came in this race second in points. The good news is she is ahead of the guy that's trying to run. She's trying to run down for the points lead, Paul Minnick, but that's really crazy to tell you the truth. And where's the 41 running? 17th. Ozkan, 5th in points, not having a good run. I think the only driver that that's going to gain a lot of ground is the guy that's 4th in the Rookie of the Year standings. That is Mohammed Zain, or 5th in the Rookie of the Year standings. Because the rookie points leader is struggling. The guy that she's trying to run down, Emily Anderson, for the rookie points lead, struggling. So I can tell you, we're going to have a bit of a point shakeup going into next week's race. As we're coming to take the white flag. One more lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank. Arena came in this race with no top 5s. That will more than likely change. And how is Carolina Bradley in the top 5? She was like 20th before those pit stops. She's up to 4th. That's incredible. But Arena McShane through 3 and 4 will come off turn 4 to win the Pennzoil 400 presented by Jiffy Lube. And now the question is for Arena McShane, has she locked herself a spot into this season's chase for the championship? And for the first time this season, 2311 will go to victory lane. And Arena McShane was 30th in the standings. This will absolutely get her away from 30th in the standings. As we'll take you through your official results of today's race. Zachary Fitzwater, 1 week removed from his second win of the year, he will get second. And Fitzy was seventh in points. And with 6 drivers ahead of him who struggled, I think Fitzy is more than likely going to be second in points leaving today. We'll have to see about that. Carolina Bradley will complete the podium in third. Carolina Bradley was outside the top 15 till those cycle of pit stops. And she came as race 14th in the points, and drivers ahead of her that somewhat struggled. I think this could put her in the top 10. Tatum Wright got 4th, Alex Hawkins 5th. We'll have to see where Alex Hawkins situates himself. It will depend on the 10 machine if they got back in the top 30 in points or not. So, and he was only 9 points below the playoff cut line. Senor Sean got 6. He fell out of the top 10. He will be back in the top 10 entering next week's race. So good run for Senor Sean. Mohammed Zain got 7th. Mohammed Zain's going to make up a lot of ground. May end up taking the rookie points lead. We'll have to wait and see about that. William Davis 8th. 9th is Dylan Ebrahimian. He had a good run today. 19th in the points. He still needs to find victory lane. And well-needed run for Jackie Tang, who's really been having a struggling season. 35th in the standings. Will complete the top 10. Riley Andersen fell all the way out of the top 10 and 11. She was leading a good part of this race. Those cycle of pit stops really killed her. And also, I really question that strategy call of her staying out, which really made absolutely no sense. We'll have to see as far as that's concerned. Scarlett Wallace, Kyle Langeland, Lucy Granger, Adina Almos got 15th. Where will this situate her with a 15th place finish? The bad news is the cut line driver won the race. But a lot of drivers around her in the points did not have themselves good days. So we'll have to see where 15th is going to situate Almos in that situation, because she came into this race, Almos that is referring to, was 33rd in the points, came into this race 29 points below 30th in the standings. We'll have to see where that's going to situate, if 15th is going to be good enough as far as that is concerned. As you look on down through the remainder of the finishing results, we talked about Priya McShane, who was 0 points ahead of 30th in the standings. We'll have to see if a 19th place finish is going to get her away from 30th in the standings or not. The good news for her, a lot of drivers ahead of her had poor finishes today. I think it's going to get her ahead, but not by much. We'll have to see what the gap is as far as that's concerned. Quentin Moore, Cody Majork, Alina Ricky, Hannah Higdon had a quiet run in 20th, as the rest of these drivers just really didn't have themselves a very good day. And I believe we may end up having a new points leader, because the guy that came in this race, the points leader, Paul Minnick, had a flat tire, never was able to recover. He finishes in 40th. The gal that was trying to run him down for the points lead, Emily Anderson, 38th, came in this race second in points and came in this race as the rookie points leader. Jacob Foster, second in the rookie of the year standings, 21st, which is 17 spots. But the problem is Mohammed Zain did better than Ricky as far as that's concerned. So I think Mohammed Zain, as far as the rookie of the year situation is concerned, Mohammed Zain would take the rookie points lead, because he only was 39 points back and he gained a lot of points. But we'll have to see what the gap is as far as that's concerned. In terms of the overall standings, I think, of course, Summit Oskin's going to drop through the points. I think it could be possibly Zachary Fitzwater, but we'll have to see, because he was only 46 points back of the points lead as far as that's concerned. We had 39 drivers finish the race on the lead lap. Grace Takayama, the last of them. All 42 drivers did reach the conclusion of the race. Tough break for Bryce Egan, and like I said, Paul Minnick, Summit Oskin were 1 or more laps down. So a lot of drivers who came in running very well in the points struggled here today. A lot of drivers like Arena McShane, near 30th in the standings. Jackie Tang, who had a struggling season. great runs for them. So I think Las Vegas played its part in a point shakeup, and we'll have to see what the gap is. And like I said, we'll have to see where 19th and 15th will situate the 21 and the 10 if this is going to keep them into the top 30, or in Almas's case, we'll have to see if 15th will keep her in the top, get her back in the top 30 in points for her win to count for a spot into the playoffs. But we want to congratulate Arena McShane on her first career win in the Foster Series. If you enjoyed today's race from Las Vegas, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become part of the World Racing Association crew today. We've shown your full finisher results. Your point standings are down in the description as a result of today's race. We'll see you guys next week as we head to Auto Club Speedway. Now for our studio engineer, that is the YouTuber. I'm D Devils. Thank you for joining me and saying goodnight from Sin City. Coming up next, we'll rejoin the Infinity Network Sports Studios programming already in progress. We'll talk to you next week from Auto Club. You've been watching the Foster Series on the World Racing Association's Multimedia Network.